can call it a tragedy, but also a blessing in the end. A current lucha star, former WWE superstar. I'm gonna full name him because he deserves it.
Yep.
He went by the name Andrade Cien Almas. Angel, for translation, for those who don't know Spanish, Cien Almas.
100 souls.
Andrade Cien Almas had requested his release from the WWE a couple of weeks ago, but he was denied on the Friday of SmackDown, just a few nights before their latest pay-per-view, WWE Fastlane. It's only after the Fastlane pay-per-view that has finished that it was announced that Andrade was granted his release.
Now, the reason why everyone's in such an uproar about this is basically Andrade had not even been seen on television, let alone had a proper wrestling match since when? October of 2020. October. So that's what, 5 months that you don't even see the motherfucker. They basically, you know how they have different brands of the WWE. They have Raw and you have SmackDown and NXT. And when you go to these brands, they say that you've been drafted. You know that, Angel?
Yes.
Okay. Well, basically, the joke that was being made was that Andrade was drafted to the catering table backstage. That he was basically there to show up, get a paycheck for showing up, and not even getting to wrestle or getting a paycheck for proper wrestling.
I'll go into a little brief history with Andrade Cien Almas. He started off in NXT around 2016, 2017. He had a bit of a rough start, but it was only after he teamed up with his gorgeous mastermind of a valet,
La Muñeca herself, Zelina Vega.
Yes, indeed.
Nice.
And the two of them became a power trip. And he won the NXT Championship in late 2017, beating Drew McIntyre and reigned supreme as NXT champion up until April of 2018 to take over New Orleans. He helped bring his personality, his character. He helped bring prestige to the NXT Championship, but more importantly, he helped along with other stars, put NXT on the map as a
So
third
he's basically one of the
brand.
people that was responsible for being as big as it is.
Yes,
not quite as much to call him a founder, but it would be funny to say that he was one of the people putting in the groundwork to build up the building as of that point.
Yes, indeed. His technical wrestling ability cannot be argued. He had one in all of his matches. He had one match that earned a 5-star rating from the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and it was Andrade Cien Almas versus Johnny Gargano for the NXT Championship at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia in January of 2018.
You got to understand something over here. As you could probably imagine, Andrade Cien Almas, he comes from a very proud lucha libre background. Before he was in NXT, where was he at? Roll his creds real quick.
He went by the moniker of Andrade La Sombra in CMLL, Consejo Mundial,
Shadow.
Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre.
And it was beautiful, like, because they were saying that he had charisma and personality on there. What was one of the favorite little like taunting moves that he would pull off? And fucking Zelina would show up on there as well.
Every time he gets thrown through the ropes, he catches himself in the middle of the ropes and then lays down.
And he lays across on the rope as if it was a fucking hammock. And he urges his opponent, "Oye, tranquilo, man." And Zelina would roll under the ring right underneath him, and she would like, "Hey, man, what's up?" Go ahead and look it up, Angel.
Can you feel the sheet? I'm actually looking at the image right now. The disrespect. The disrespect emanating from this picture is making me actively angry. I'm gonna close this link before I punch my screen.
But you know what's cool about that is just with the personality of Zelina Vega being his valet, of her being in on the matches with him, she would naturally try to interfere, but it wouldn't be just like, oh, a catty bitch thing or whatever.
No, she would actually freaking...
She would knock motherfuckers down on the ground. She would hit them with a hurricanrana herself and knock them on their ass. It's beautiful. Mwah.
It's awesome. But on the subject of Andrade, and then after dropping the NXT Championship, he got called up to the main roster. Right around late 2019, Paul Heyman was appointed as executive producer for Monday Night Raw, and he helped push Andrade Cien Almas as a main event star. It's one of his projects. He was very high on a select number of wrestlers in the roster. Andrade was one of them.
You know, one of the real problem was the moment you could tell the moment when Andrade's stars started to fall was very apparent. You see, Vince McMahon, the owner of the WWE, has a very short attention span and a much shorter taste on people these days. So much so that he actively goes out of his way to shorten the names of some of his wrestlers just so he can keep up with them, because no one's going to want to follow Andrade Cien Almas or Antonio Cesaro or Mustafa Ali. I'm going to name him Cesaro. This other guy, he's just going to be called Ali, which I'm pretty sure there isn't the estate of a legendary boxer that might have a thing or two to say.
And this one is just going to be called Andre. Sir, we already have an Andre. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, no, it's like you can tell that was a big part of it. Another part was when, regrettably, Zelina Vega was part of the situation where you remember the WWE was cracking down on everyone's third-party stuff, and she's like, no, fuck you, I'm not giving up my Twitch channel. I've got my own following there.
Yeah.
I'm not using WWE. So she got booted out of there.
But even before that,
so Andrade stands alone. The only thing sort of cloud he had in the background is the fact that he so happens to be engaged, or is he finally married?
He is engaged to Charlotte Flair, but before Zelina was released, he was held back for a number of factors. Number one, Paul Heyman was let go as executive producer in the middle of 2020, and that means that any future plans he had for Andrade went out the window. But even if you don't factor that, Andrade's also hindrance, I kid you not, and this is going to sound silly, was his command of the English language. Vince really, really wanted him to speak English. Not that he can't. He can speak English, but not in a way that Vince wants him to speak English. Pretty much his quotes, and I looked it up online some time ago, if you don't learn to speak English, you're not going to get a push.
Wait. So we got a perfectly good working star here with charisma, a decent gimmick, some good skill, and you're going to boot him up over something that any other producer with a working brain would use as a proper part of the gimmick. Really now?
Yeah. Fucking really?
I mean, At this point, I wish I could say I'm surprised, but this is Vince we're talking about. Do we expect anything else?
Now, the really good news about all this is, it's really weird because, on the one hand, with him being engaged to Charlotte Flair, who so happens to be like the golden girl of the WWE, she's the daughter of Ric Flair. She's a multi-time world champion. They have her in all their promotions, all their commercials, all this shit. But the funny thing is that the moment Andrade got released, she was removed from the WrestleMania poster that was put out for advertising. The official reason that people are giving, which of course, it makes much more sense, it's much more simplistic, is right now she's recovering from a bout of COVID that she caught.
Yeah.
And she's not gonna, and odds are she's not gonna make it to WrestleMania, which is what, next weekend?
Makes
2
sense.
weeks from what? 2 weeks from now.
So it's possible she might not be able to make it. But on the other hand, with the coincidental timing of her fiance being released, people are speculating that they're being a petty fuck and removing Charlotte to punish her.
Now,
the worst part is, can you really blame people for speculating when we know, as a matter of fact, that Vince can and has been several times during his career a quote-unquote petty fuck?
Yeah, no. And here's a couple other factors. The reason why WWE didn't pull the trigger on releasing him so soon, and I think this was covered by a previous interview with Jim Ross, who's a commentator for AEW, is that basically he said, and I quote, and take it with a grain of salt, is that the WWE is keenly aware of their competition being All Elite Wrestling, and they now no longer recognize it as the piss ant company that Triple H referred to in 2019 in the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Basically, they were saying like, okay, we want to make sure that we could devalue Andrade so they wouldn't want him, but which is actually really funny because normally Vince McMahon is a real stickler on no compete clauses. He has them in everyone's contract when they're actively an independent contractor, that they can't go work for anyone else. However, in Andrade's case, he was released without the customary 60 or 90-day no compete clause. Basically,
that's right.
Cut him loose nice and clean. Go work somewhere else, see what I care.
Exactly. And that leaves a lot of fans to speculate where he's going to go, whether he's going to go to AEW, whether he's going to go to Impact Wrestling, whether he's going to go to Lucha Libre AAA, or back to CMLL.
Or even Lucha Underground.
Or even Lucha Underground is in the middle of being revived. But the point is, Andrade got what he wanted. He got what he wanted. He's free to work wherever he wants. I think it's a shame. I think it's disappointing that one of the greatest Latino stars that they had in their arsenal was underutilized like piss poorly, and it's terrible.
If they couldn't take advantage of his full power and talent when he was there, then that just means they didn't deserve his work. And that just means that whoever receives him will simply get the benefits of that service. Let's see what happens from this point on. But yeah, as usual, today, breaking news, WWE continues to make bad decisions. In other breaking news, water may be wet, and Kojima could stop really predicting the future every 5 seconds.
Ain't that the damn truth? Real quick, on the chat, we've got Bunda joining us on the live chat
Hello.
tonight. Hi, Bunda. Good to see you, pal. He's actually putting down a statement over here. Well, you have to look at the past Hispanic wrestlers that were successful in the WWE. Alberto Del Rio, Rey Mysterio, etc. They spoke English really well. That is true. And of course, being able to talk for yourself and being able to cut your own promos is definitely something that is a major boon if you're going to be in the WWE. Vince McMahon isn't just about how well you work. He wants you to be a personality, a star.
How well you connect with the crowd. How well you connect with the audience.
Which is funny because the one thing that really did help was him being with Zelina Vega, with Thea Trinidad, as she's going by her actual name now.
Yep.
So I guess one could make that argument, but on the other hand, it's kind of a passe argument over here. You've also had other Mexican luchadors. You had Sin Cara, who was a personality on there.
Mm-hmm.
You could say what you want about how botchy he is in the ring,
Yeah.
but you also had Ultimo Dragon. You had Japanese wrestlers. You had what do you call it?
Kalisto.
Yeah.
Kalisto could speak.
You have Kalisto. You have Tajiri, who his English wasn't the best, but it was still good enough for being able to contact in the ring. You had Kaientai, who was Taka Michinoku and Shofunaki.
Yep.
Let's see here.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Shinsuke Nakamura, yeah. Obviously, Shinsuke, his English isn't 100%, but he still has the gravity of the personality. He's like the Michael Jackson style flamenco sex god rock star.
Yeah, Roy.
But then they fucking neuter him because of course.
Why?
Because of course they do. Like you said, Angel, headline, WWE does something stupid.
But
I hate the fact that you're right, and I hate the fact that how easily the answer to my question wasn't the rhetorical answer I gave 5 minutes before. All through irony. Oh, wait, there's no irony. The irony got fired, too. They didn't like his gimmick. I'm sorry.
But the point being is that despite all that, I'm happy at least that Andrade Cien Almas got what he wanted. Who knows if he'll go by that name? Who knows if he'll just go by Andrade? Who knows if he'll go back to his previous name, La Sombra? We'll find out in the future. However, not everyone in life gets what they want.